Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Joan Nicole, and in today's episode I want to talk about what makes you pick a book, or what will help you pick your next book to read. So I hope with the few points that I'll give, you will get to learn something. In my experience, I always pick a book that has a message for me. You know, people have different needs. For example, if I'm going to pick a book, depending on the need that I have at that time, I'll pick the book that connects to that need. Let's say I'm in a financial crisis and I need some financial literacy skills or financial intelligence, something about savings or investment. I'll pick a book that is in that line, that may help me. If maybe it's for a new skill that I want to learn, I'll pick that as well. So let's say I'm into PR, marketing, economics, whatever tickles your fancy. So yeah, and that's point one. Point two, I always like reading the back end of a book. It will help me know what this book is all about, and I'll pick it. And again, people have different desires. Maybe somebody is going through a breakup, or somebody wants to fall in love, or somebody's new relationship, and maybe they want to learn something new. Maybe they don't want to be boring as their last relationship. You know, they always say that if you want to hide something, hide it in a book. So maybe with reading some romance novels or something, you'll get to learn. I've read this book by Gabrielle Union, Women Who Love Too Much. Oh god, that book is something else. You should read it. It's a wonderful book. There are women who just love excessively, regardless of their partner's character or abuse. Somebody may be in need of motivation. It's okay to read those books, maybe to empower your mind and learn something as far as knowledge is concerned. Or maybe, you know, if you wake up and you need some motivation to go to work, you know, those are the kind of books to read. For example, I've read Robin Sharma's. There's a book he's written that talks about, like, if you die today, what will people remember you with? I didn't get the title right, but it's in that line. What will you leave behind when you die? Something like that. It's a really nice book. It makes you think. For example, if I was to die today, how will people mourn me? What do you leave behind? What is your legacy? In as much as I love thrillers, crime, investigative, in my next life I want to be into law. So, you know, if I read those things, they are in line with my next career, you know. Yeah, I love reading widely, so that's why sometimes I read almost everything. If you were to write a will today, what will your will contain? I know many people always think that wills are only for rich people. May I surprise you that it is not as you think it is. Actually, anybody can write a will, but there's a legal procedure to it. So you can write a will, but again, what will be in your will? What are you leaving there? What is there to write about, you know? The other day I was talking to someone about wills, and they were like, utaacha nini? Unaandikia huyu kitanda, unaandikia huyu vitabu. And no, as much as it's funny, sio funny by the way. We'll see ya watu wadosi peke yake. Think about it today. Will ni for anyone, everybody. Everybody can write a will, but you have to follow legal way. So think about it. It might not make sense, but in future it will make a lot of sense. Anyway, so those are the things that make me choose a book. Also, there are people who choose a book because of the book covers. I don't know what is it about the book covers, but like for me, if I was to talk about book covers, for example, if I was to pick a crime book, investigative murder thriller, something like this, even if I haven't read the title, if I see like this one, I know this is a good book. Even if I haven't read that author, they can sway you. Sometimes maybe it can be this good or even this good, but maybe it isn't all that nice. So but sometimes if I see a book like this, I get interested, and I always like reading the back here so that I know exactly what the book is talking about. So before I choose a book, I'll read the title and read here back. If I'm interested, I'll pick it, buy it, and go my way, same as others. Also, you can pick a book if you've read a certain author. For example, if you are into legal thrillers and you've read John Grisham and you liked what he writes about, so you'll get interested. Every time you see a John Grisham book, grab one because you've read it. If you are into feminism and women, and you've read Chimamanda's books, every time you see a Chimamanda book, you want to pick it because you've read her work and you've loved it. So also, if you've read a previous author, you are eager to read more of their books. Also, sometimes you get introduced to an author through people. Maybe I didn't know somebody is an author, and when going through my socials, maybe, or somebody just tell me, you know, so and so, she or he is an author, they write such books, you should read them. So because you've been introduced to them through another person, you want to know what they write about, and sometimes it makes you read. Also, you can do book recommendations. Like somebody can recommend books to you and you read them, but sometimes with book recommendations, not all of them are worth your time. If somebody recommends a book to you, if the books recommended are in line with your current need, then that's a go for you. If you just want something to read, it's a yes. If you want maybe to meet a need in a book, then book recommendations won't work. For example, if you go to Book Talk is book lovers on TikTok. They have these nice books, but when you read them, they don't really fancy you. So maybe somebody has recommended a book written by their friends or relatives, or if I recommend a book to you here, those people are not my friends. I've just read them and I love what they write about. You'll find that books recommended, they're not all that nice, or maybe you read them and you get bored. I bought this book, I haven't read it, but every time I go to Book Talk, City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, and I got interested. I haven't read it though, I'll read it. There are some books that you buy that were recommended, but again, when you bring them to your shelf, they're not as interesting as you thought, or maybe you just don't vibe with them. So sometimes we just buy many books, but we don't really read them. So buy a book that meets your current need, or buy a book that has triggered something in you. you want to learn a new skill, buy a book. You've read this author a while ago and love what they do, buy them. An author has been recommended to you, and you going through their profiles, you've loved the kind of books they write, buy. Yeah, you've gone somewhere and a book has triggered something, buy them. So yeah, people buy books differently. So the next time you buy a book, buy something that meets your need. I remember sometimes back, especially during COVID, we are still in the COVID era, but not as in 2020, where people were being sent home, the jobs were closing down, people were getting unpaid leaves, and the situation was just too bad. And we were trying to cut down on our spending habits. So there's this book by, I can't remember her name, but she's Nigerian, Smart Money Woman. I read that book, and man, the situation the author was in was the same situation I was in, and I had to cut down on the expenses, and I had to accept that I was doing bad, that I was miserable. It's about mostly saving and having an income, passive income, having income streams that in case one fails, you can always negotiation here and there. But it's a nice book if you want to do with something to do with saving and all that. That's a nice book for you. Smart Money Woman is a good book. I read it at that time, and it really calmed me down because I was miserable, like miserable. So yeah, try those points that I've given you, and if it doesn't work for you, my friend, then I don't know what will work for you. Last but not least, also you should have a reading list. For example, books that I want to read this year, or books that I want to read this month, books that so that if in case you don't get this book, you'll read this one. If you don't get this one, you'll read this one. They help you read. And that's all for today, guys, and thank you for being here. Let's take 1 minute to subscribe. 1 minute, if it would subscribe. Subscribe. Yes, subscribe. Subscribe, maze. Thank you. So let's see you next week, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, and see you next time.